Hi, Scott Whitley here, hope you're doing well, and welcome to this brand new bass lesson. This lesson follows on from the lesson I did last week where I started to talk about improvisation, and I promised for the next couple of weeks we'd stick with that theme. Now, this lesson isn't going to be about soloing, it's not going to go into any great lengths or depths about theory or technique or anything like that. It's just going to be a beginner's look or a first look at composition on the spot, right? So there's a massive difference between having time to prepare something, whether it's a bass line, a solo, a piece of music, whatever it is, and just coming up with something on the spot without any preparation whatsoever. And all you've got to go on is maybe a tonal key or a chord sequence or even just a rhythm, okay? It does take a long number of years to become really, really proficient at improvising, where you can just kind of hear a chord sequence and just kind of, that's, I'm talking numbers now, that's a 1-6-2-5 or whatever it is, and then just be able to jump on the instrument and play it. That does take a lot of time, but hopefully in a short period of time, you can start having fun just kind of creating stuff that sounds musical and enjoyable for others to listen to really quickly. So let's just kind of get into what I'm talking about. A really kind of obvious example, and something I do a lot myself, of composition on the spot, improvising, just coming up with something like that, is to throw a drum rhythm on a drum machine and just kind of hear it and respond to it and play something. So I'm going to do that now. This rhythm that I've got set up currently, it's a rock rhythm. It's just like boom, tsh, dum, dum, tsh, that kind of thing. That's quite slow for a rock rhythm, that is. So the first thing when I hear that is I'm kind of locking into what that kick and snare are doing. That's personally what I'm doing. That's the first thing. So I'm actually in my mind kind of not singing, but kind of mouthing, if you like, that rhythm. So in my head, I'm going boom, 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 dum, 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 almost playing along with it in my mind. Okay. It changed a bit. So I'd listened to that for a couple of bars. I know I said about no preparation whatsoever, but because I'm playing with myself, I can start that and just give myself a little introduction, cheekily. So already I've given myself a rhythm that I could play. It's exactly the same as what the drums are doing. So the first most obvious thing I can do is just pick a note on the bass. It could be anything because I'm not playing with anybody else. I'm choosing the key. And just with that one note, play that rhythm, right? So, here we go. I'm going to play C, by the way. Okay, so that, is improvising, essentially. What I've done is borrowed from what I heard, borrowed from the drum rhythm I heard, and just applied that rhythm to the note I decided to play. Now, let me kind of pedal back a little bit, because I was doing a little bit more than just playing that note. Now, if you've done things like like damping and staccato and shortening notes and things like that, then you'll have heard that. But check it out. I'm going to do exactly that same exercise again, but without any damping. And I'll explain that in a minute. Listen to this. This should be devoid of feel. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it didn't have that kind of groove that the earlier version had, and the difference was the note was the same, the rhythm I was playing with my right hand was the same. In fact, I'm going to show you that now. If you check this out, if I just show you my right hand, here we go, 2, 3. So this is the without the feel. With feel. Okay, so the difference wasn't coming from the right hand. That was doing exactly the same thing. The difference was coming from the left hand. So let me show you that. Here we go. So without the feel. With feel. Ah. Okay, so the difference was that I was shortening some of those notes. So, excuse me. Just in that quick example, we've just used one note so far, and I've hopefully demonstrated how you can completely change the feel of something by shortening notes, different lengths of notes, you know, and that is a massive part of improvisation. You know, a lot of people think it's all about what notes you're playing, and of course it's about what notes you're playing, but it's also about what you're doing with those notes, right? Okay, so before I show you exactly what I was doing with that left hand, and some of you already will know what I was doing, but I'm not going to leave you hanging with that. I'm going to show you what I was doing. Let me just give you one more example. Again, this is improvised, so if you know, I'm likely to make mistakes. Let me tell you something about mistakes really quickly, actually. You know, I've always been very self-conscious about, you know, making mistakes, you know, when you're improvising. And last week I was talking about, you know, if you go to play something that's a bit fancy, a bit tricky, and you've got a cheeky grin on your face, you know, there's nothing worse than pulling it off, playing that little cheeky line that you've just decided you're going to improvise, and then hitting a big clanging wrong root note after it or something. You know, it's like hero to zero. But the thing is, I went to watch Marcus Miller, who's you know, I'm a massive fan of. I think it was last year, I think so, and I was kind of like, I got into Marcus mode for a little while and was watching a few videos before the concert. And one of the things he talked about was that if he doesn't hear people, and we're talking improvisers now, you know, people, you know, playing with him, it's probably mainly jazz, but it you know, it applies whatever genre you're working in. If you're improvising, if he doesn't hear people making mistakes, you know, he feels like they're not pushing themselves. And I thought that's fantastic. You know, that's what it is. And like guys like Victor Wooten makes loads of mistakes, even on his albums and stuff, and he leaves them in. And I love that. You know, it's really human, and he doesn't make him any less impressive. It's kind of more impressive that he's pushing himself that much. That is you know, what's the word? He's honest enough to leave those mistakes in there, you know, and I love that stuff. That's what I was saying. I might make mistakes in what I do now because this is all on the fly, but I'm just going to improvise just for a few minutes now, or a few seconds over that drum rhythm. I'm going to come up with some different themes, if you like, just play about with it, but I'm going to try and just stick to playing one note. I'm going to give myself a little bit of scope as I'm going to use that note and its octave. So that's a C. And that's a C. Slightly out of tune, C. Let me just check my tuning. It's I've turned the air conditioning off in here because it makes a lot of noise, and it's just warming up by the second. So wait for the beads of sweat soon. It's not completely nerves. Here we go. So just note of C and an octave. Oops. That wasn't C, was it? That was a G. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. I shouldn't look at my monitor, look at you. That you can do a lot with just one note. You can do a lot of improvising. That was all improvising without thinking about what can I use, what key am I in, C, this, that, and the other. You know, now obviously it's easy because I'm not playing with anybody else right now, so I can do that. But it's important to do that because most of your feel and most of the improvisation, for me, comes from the phrasing and the rhythm of what you're doing, and that's what we're kind of concentrating on here, and from the right hand a lot, you know. So let me back up now to show you what this damping thing was all about, right? And I'm not going to go into massive detail on this, just enough to kind of show you how to play that rhythm, and then you can have a play with it yourself and see what you can come up with. So let me check my tuning after that crazy messing with the trem thing. There you go, that'll do. Cool. What key was it? C, right, okay. So let me show you the way. Let me zoom in on that a little bit, if I can. So look. There we go. Turn that around. So here we go. So what happens is, I'm going to show you the first three notes. Bum, bum, bum. Now, if you listen to me sing that, bum, it stops there. Bum, 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 and then there's a little gap, and then you get the other two notes, right? So, so what happens is, I fret the note, pluck it, and then just lift my finger off a little tiny bit, right? It's not even coming off. It's just the pressure that's coming off. So it's like... And then when I play the other notes, I just press in. Bum, bum, bum. So what's happening is I'm playing a long, short, long. All right? Long, short, long, long, short, long. Now I'm kind of adding to that. Now stick with that first method for a little minute. So it's long, lift off, short, lift off, long. All right, let's try that together. We'll do it slowly. We turn the drum machine tempo down. This is 60 BPM. Okay. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Long, short, long. I'm just playing that same rhythm right through the whole thing for a minute. Play it a couple more times. All right. Okay, so yeah, that's where that kind of rhythm thing is coming from. Now you can add to that, and that's what I said. I kind of didn't almost realize I was doing it, and this is the thing: the more you practice this stuff, the more it just becomes kind of part of your muscle memory, you know, and you hear a rhythm and your hands kind of just do what you want them to a large degree. Not quite at all. Don't think that for 1 minute. So yeah, the other thing I added to that was I'm kind of doing that with both hands. I'm going, and I'm kind of doing a little kind of thing where the snare drum might be, you know. So this hand's going. So when you're doing like slap bass, that's what I call the left hand slap. It's where you kind of get this kind of percussive sort of sound. And with the right hand, you know, I'm just kind of, while the left hand is holding the strings, you know, I'm kind of hitting that. So it's just a thing I was kind of doing subconsciously, but it just adds a little bit more rhythm. Let me play it without that clicky stuff, and then with it. Okay. In fact, I'll do three levels of feel: none, some, and a bit more. All right. So this is none. This is where we just hold that note with the first finger. Some. With the clicks. All right, so that really adds some kind of groove to it, you know, and you'll hear that a lot in my playing. So if I just improvise some kind of funky stuff. You know, there's all that kind of click, like shoulder movements. Look at that. There's all that kind of clicking going on, and that is all. That is either left hand slap or right hand slap. You know, right hand click. I don't know. I'm going too far. I go too far, but you get the idea that improvising is not about playing a load of notes. In fact, for me, it's about nailing one note and doing something rhythmically with it. So let's change the rhythm and just stick with one note again. So here we go. By the way, I'm using a Zoom B1ON, and I get all the drums from in there. It's very, very simple and straightforward. You can't program songs into it or anything, but just for a quick kind of metronome practice thing, it's brilliant. What's this then? So again, the first thing I'm hearing is that don't ga don't ga don't ga don't ga don't ga don't ga. So I'll play that on my C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which works just fine, all right. And let me put that into a sort of almost kind of song context. Let me just throw something together like. Check my tuning again. Like I say, it's actually heating up in here by the minute. All right, so okay, so I'm just going to throw a quick loop together. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're gonna. And now with the octaves. Mistakes, eh? And so on. And so on. So yeah, you get the idea that just playing one note, all right, and move that note around, but one note over a feel, it really works. So let's try another. So like I say, this is a really sort of simple way to just start jumping in. You can just hear that rhythm and you can just jump in with it. Actually, let me just stay for a minute with what I did with that chord sequence, right? I didn't invent a chord sequence. I just decided to play a C, A minor, G, and F. All right, C, A minor, G, and F. Now, if you were thrown that chord sequence, right, you were at a jam night or you just got together with some musos and they said, right, let's play this. It's C, A minor, G, and F. Now, if you don't know anything about music theory, you'd need to know where those notes on the bass were, to be fair. But even if you didn't, even if you said, what are they? And just show me show me where the notes are quickly, As long as you've got which notes they are and you hear that rhythm, you could play that bass line, all right? And even if you don't know the difference between a major and a minor, if you just know that pretty much whatever the chord is, if it's an A something, generally if you play an A, it's going to work. If it's a G something, even if at this stage you don't understand the rest of the part of the chord, that route is going to work. So all I'm saying is, I could throw you that chord sequence, C, A minor, G, and F, and you could go, right, he said, if you just concentrate on the C, A, G, F, right, I've got them. Right, you hopefully can do that in almost an instant, and then I'll throw you this rhythm. Right, let's go. Instant bass line, okay? It's not, it's not rocket science. We're not going to we're not playing a blistering solo here, but it is instant music that works. That's the point for me. It sounds like a bass line. It sounds like a considered bass line, but instantly. All right. Now, this is probably the best way to get into improvising, in my opinion. It's all about the rhythm, the feel, and all that stuff. If all you do is just practice over one note, using loads of different tempos and rhythms, and then maybe give yourself like the octave as well. Like I say, if you're playing a C, that is a C as well. Just show you that. Okay. And just kind of play around with that and play around with that damping thing, that making notes shorter. And then start to move away from the drum rhythm that you hear. I mean, that's the example I've given you at the minute, is playing along with a drum machine. There are like loads of, if you go on YouTube and just search for like drum track, I'm sure there are like loads on there as well that you could play along with. And then the next thing will be, once you've done that thing of kind of mimicking what the kick and snare are doing, is to just kind of work across that. Just like, I'm going to try this, So let me give you some examples of that. Same rhythm. I could just go. Double it up. That and octaves. Other way. Two of each. Two and one. Now apply some damping, the feel. tap. Palm muted. High and quiet. Low and heavy. And so on. All right. So I just went through just a bunch of different stuff over one note, and I don't think that, you know, you could say for 1 minute that, like, well, that just stood still, it didn't go anywhere, did it? You know, it moved around. You know, we created you know, kind of highs and lows and different feels and grooves, and it was all over the same drum rhythm and the same note. So that is where to start your improvising. Don't, for my money, don't get too hung up. You've got to do, of course, you've got to do it. You know, the whole like theory and notes. It's really important to learn as much of that stuff as you can. But at the same time, I think it's equally, if not more important at this stage, to be able to do something with one note, because you can pare away all the thinking about what notes you're going to do. Because once you get this down, you know, over one note, then you can go and take your theory stuff, and you can apply it to all 12 notes, you know, over any chord sequence and so on. So I hope that helped, even in a small way. If you have any questions or any comments, please drop them in the comments box below. Don't forget, my wife Janet and I are doing a live streamed concert on the 2nd of May at 9 p.m. UK time. It's going to be a proper gig from here in the bass cabin. We're going to have lights, smoke, you know, the full production, and the last one was great. We're aiming to make this one like a global party. Let's do it. You know, it's one where you can, you know, get it up on the telly, you know, put it through your Bluetooth speaker, open a bottle of wine if you like, you know, like, and let's see your party away too. So I'll see you there on the 2nd of May, if not before. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click the little bell icon in the corner so you get notified when I bring out a new video. Thanks, as always, for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.